Hey guys, recording another video, my first in a long time, mainly as a process of me getting over this case, Dots by Kobe Dombrowski, that was put together last night my time. And the reason I need to get over it is because it was actually the most frustrating finish I've ever had to a 30-minute case. My wife Ella next to me thought I was having some serious issues based on how angry I was. So there's a bit of foreshadowing in terms of how that came to pass and how it came to be. You can fast forward to the finish of I guess of this video, or towards the finish, and understand what happened there. So preamble, we're going to get into Dots, and I'm going to try and make up for the minor wrong that kind of happened. I came 16th, I think, in the end. Good result. Particularly, I've been a bit weak lately, but coulda, shoulda, would have been second if something else had gone my way. So let's get into it. And I'm going to try and somewhat mimic actually what happened last night for me, and then kind of make up then for the bits I did wrong as well. So I do want to start by saying this is a cool case. I actually really liked it. So well done, Kobe. Hard and challenging, but a cool case. The whole idea of it is that we have these dots, and a red player and a blue player has put some lines between these dots, and we need to essentially solve for what happens if additional lines turns up, or indeed in later levels if an entire square is enclosed, then we are going to credit that square, and I guess a point for that square, to the last player to have put the fourth line in that then encloses that box or that square. So that's the idea of it. The premise, quite simple. Right, so started on level 1, and I got through level 1 really quickly, which is not something everyone necessarily did. I kind of just looked at this and I saw the maths of it, and I went, there are 4 columns, there are 3 rows. The answer is 6, which is if we're having kind of 4 columns, and then there are 3 boxes for 4 columns going across, and then there are 3 dots going down and 2 boxes going down alongside the 3 dots going down, then it really just seems to be a game of going -1 and then the product of that. And so nice and quick for level 1. Ooh, awesome. I'll zoom in just in case you guys can't see, who knows. Put 45 minutes on the clock here, just so I can make sure I can get through the whole case in case it takes a while. Great. Level 2, tricky as well for some. I also got through this really quickly and was feeling really good. Again, I was just looking at it and going, we've got an answer of 17, but more importantly, just looking at the relationship again between height and width and the number of lines that turn up. So if I'm looking at it from a let's say from a width perspective, there are 4 columns, and between the 4 columns I'm getting 3 lines in between, and then if the height is 3, I'm getting the width of 4 minus 1 times 3, and that's going to give me my horizontal lines, and then basically the inverse for the height. So this -1 times 3 plus this -1 times the width, and that got me 17, and I'm like, oh cool, we are flying. And so in reality, during the case, I was 2 minutes in and 2 levels in and feeling good, and I appreciate it wasn't the case for everyone, but I was just able to kind of see those relationships quickly. Level 3 is where it started to quickly go apart for me. So I got partials in level 3, and we'll see why in a second. What I noted from this is I just needed to work with what did I note for this? The cell above and the cell below from memory. I can't quite remember what I did, but I basically made the assumption that every line address was a vertical line. Of course it's not. So what do we want to do for this? I'll bring in my lemons because I use them. Shout out to Eric and OA Robot for making this an easy process. So brought in the row number, brought in the column number. And I actually looked at this and I went, it's as simple as going that divided by 2, that divided by 2, and putting a semicolon between the two. Usually do that, just use the ampersand symbol instead of text join in that case. So there's only 2 of them. Then I checked the hints. I did check the hints, and then they added it up appropriately. However, some of them will be, should be wrong, I believe, based on the fact I'm working with the presumption they're all vertical lines, and some of them will be horizontal. So anyway, let's put that in, and probably even leave it, because this is how I thought I got level 3 wrong. Okay. It's a fun video, isn't it? Alright, turns out my little trick there works really nicely for level 3 without me even appreciating it. I thought that it was going to fall apart on the likes of M4, which is sitting on this particular row, and therefore a horizontal line. But turns out it's fine. So cool, we got level 3. Moving on then to adjacent lines. Cool. So, what do I need to do here? We have the game board we're working with. We'll continue to use the cell addresses for dots, lines, and squares. Given the existing game state on the game board and provided square cells address, how many lines of each color are adjacent to the square? Okay, cool. So what we needed to do at this point was start to turn these colors into something more actionable in terms of, what the cell, that's B7. So how can I know that without going through that process? It'll take way too long. So you can see one of my cooler map blenders now. So I'm going to select this map. I'm also going to select this key. No, that key will need to be there. So try that again. And I can create my map report. Actually, won't work on multiple selections. It's not a deal. Try that again. Okay, I went for the shortcut version. I must have a couple of versions maybe in there of Create Map Report, and that one that I was trying to use before was a version that wasn't happy. But I've looked up the correct version to a shortcut of Control-Shift-M for map, and that turns that into this, and that becomes then useful for me starting to work out where everything sits. So I guess what I can do at this point is label out the addresses of those. And I can do then a to-call of the board itself, and I can filter this based on this being greater than or equal to 0, and I've now got a listing of existing lines. Cool. Now what's exciting about all of that is I did go through this process, but I actually did not do this process for level 4. Now I'm thinking about it. So I'll show you what I did do for 4, which wasn't brilliant, but it got me there, and I was working with it quite quickly. So another macro I've just kind of built and put together to help me quickly have a data table set up for a particular level based on the tab name being 4. So square address, And yeah, I just wanted to basically get an area of that. So I did use an indirect. I've worked out some ways to do it without indirect, but I haven't practiced them well enough. That indirects me to here, so the color map kind of part was required to do first. And then I have an area lambda, which I created a long time ago with a friend of mine called Anders, based in Denmark, who is just a brilliant lad, an Excel competitor. And we kind of put that together like a good year ago, just over the course of a year, hour or two on a stream together, which is quite cool. So anyway, by doing that, I've now kind of got the area around that, and I can now do red, blue, B. Probably shouldn't use countifs, but I do and I did. Move that off to the side, and then this is going to be a concat of the 1 and the R and the 1 and the B. This is foreshadowing what happens to an issue for me later. I don't really use data tables anymore in the sense of Alt AWT A1, which will give me tab A1, which will give me the answers. I actually have my own macro which mimics a data table, and for me I put that as a Away Robot shortcut, Control Shift R, based on A1, and that gives me my answers. So we will put them into level 4. We're 11 minutes into it. In reality, I was through this in sub 10 minutes. I was doing a pretty good job at this point. Okay, just going to set this up for level 5. All right, level 5. And this is where we have a lines address and a player. And we need to work with the squares that are adjacent. So this is actually where it's going to be important for us to know if this line is a horizontal line. If it's a vertical line, is it a vertical line? Because then we want to be caring about the squares to the left and right. Whereas if it's a horizontal line, we're going to need to care about the squares above it and below it. So what I did for this, which could be done in a better manner, I started to actually get really good and efficient with my level 6 and level 7 outcomes, but I leveraged the same ideas that I had here. So I guess we can copy that, and it's going to have the same setup. But what's important is that I need to add another red to the mix on top of what's going on in here. And then I also need to reflect the fact, oh no, disregard, I don't need to do another. What did I do? If our line is here, I worked out that I needed to have this box. Oh, hello. This is the box I needed to return. And what that is based on that center cell, it's going up 1, it's going across 2, and then it's having a box that is 5 wide and 3 down length, I think they call it, when it comes to the offset, which is what I used. I think I did a nice lambda that kind of dealt with this a bit better, but I couldn't remember at the time. So what I did, let's get rid of the indirect, sorry, keep the indirect, but get rid of the area, and we'll use the offset formula, and the row needs to go up 1, and the column needs to go across 2, and then my height, of course, what they call it, height needed to be 3, and the width needed to be 5, and that was going to give me what I needed if the line was vertical. And what was going to be needed instead if the line was horizontal, it's kind of like the opposite. It was going to be minus 2 rows, minus 1 column, height of 5, and a width of 3. You'll see it go out kind of the other way from that center. So all of this is good, but which one do we use? And I, just by looking at the game board here, worked out pretty quickly that the horizontal lines are on odd row numbers, and the vertical lines are on on even numbers, and the vertical lines are on odd numbers. So I'm like, oh sweet, we'll just use that to work out. So I'm going to get the row address, get row number, and if it is odd number is vertical. So I'm just going to set up some like outcomes, and then basically based on this little true or false lever, decide which outcome I take. So I'm going to do a concat here of that, and that, and that, and that. And this is going to be the setup for vertical. And that, and that, and that, and that. For horizontal, I've got some changes to make though in terms of what I'm referencing, and I also need to bring in the fact that red is a player, and that's going to add to the mix here too. So the way I'll do that is I'm going to do a 2col of that and a v stack of that and that. It doesn't like count us at that point. Yeah, I'm just on a call thing. It's home life for you. If that equals red, then 1, otherwise. Cool. That's locked. That's locked. That's locked. Cool. Same idea, but we'll do it based on this instead. So, more efficient ways to do this, but this is a good reality of how I did it. So, if true, take that, other that. K2, so it doesn't like that as even being an option. So I didn't have this issue last night. I got K2. I see why it's triggering, but and this is actually why some people got 10%. I did get an odd kind of answer or level of points, like not nice rounded level of points. So I thought it was level 3, but now I'm thinking it's actually related to this. I don't remember seeing any ref errors come through. Maybe I did have ref errors and I passed through them without kind of pausing. But I can see why with the perimeter part now it won't go up there, and appreciate what's happening there. I'm going to leave that as is for now because I'm curious if I can try and mimic my score from last night. Great, so I got through 5. Now I went through the bonuses. 10 by 10 grid. What do we do for this bonus? What do we do? Okay, so in the 10 by 10 grid, how many lines can be drawn if the center 4 by 4 section of dots is removed? So go back to the game board. That means that we need to remove these dots. Just make it clearer. Remove these dots. And how many lines are possible if basically these dots do not exist? I answer this by removing these dots. So I did not get bonus 1. How I should have done it, if I knew that these guys were all out of action, is gone. There are 9 going across, there are 9 going across, there are 9 going across, 9, 9, 9. There are, at this point now, this is not eligible. There are 2 going across, 2, 2, 2, obviously on both sides of those, that's 4. So as we go down, 9, 9, 9, 4, 4, 4, 4, it's symmetrical, 9, 9, 9. There are 70 horizontal lines. There are also, of course, symmetrical going to be 70 vertical lines, 140. We are not going to put that in as the answer yet, though, because I did not get that right at the time. How many squares on the game board have at least one adjacent file line filled in? I did not attempt this at all. But it's nice and easy for us to fix, particularly once we've gone through level 6 and put up some logic for that. So I'm going to leave that for the side for now. On the game board tab, how many dots have at least one red line attached to them? I got this answer by going like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't recommend that because it's very easy to get the answer wrong. However, if you keep at that, you'll get an answer of 54, which is correct. So I got that by going through it manually. I might come back to that and actually try and work out I haven't thought about it yet, but a more reasonable way of working that one out properly. I think I've got an idea actually with my head how I might be able to do that with formulas. And level 5, oh cool, we've done level 5. What is the sum of the game numbers where at the end of the turn, the player drawing the line still has fewer lines surrounding the adjacent squares than their opponent? I must have got that correct. I had that correct at the time. I'm really just struggling with how and why this isn't working as compared to what I did last night. I'm actually so curious. I'm going to have a quick look. How is that working with the 85? It's not. Horizontal. I'm not picking it up. Oh, fascinating. The way in which I kind of did it, instead of doing, I've deviated slightly in what we're going through now, is using this kind of V-stack to goal, adding on red. What I did last night was instead did a countif of everything there, and then if this equal that, then add an additional one. And so what this is doing is it's obviously defaulting to 0, and then we're adding a 1 to it. Oh, that's fascinating. Which might be giving us the correct answer. Maybe not. Not sure. So we'll remove last night's attempt again. I believe I did get bonus 4. I probably didn't get bonus 4 correct then, because I got all of level 3 correct. And I didn't think I got level 3 correct. I was just trying to work out the number of points and stuff I got. But yeah, solving this level, I went through this manually as well. And so I went and provided alongside this, and then I could kind of quickly see that because it's blue, blue has 3 more than red, so we don't want to consider it. We don't want to consider it. We do want to consider this because red has 1 and blue has 2. And so by going through it in this manner, who knows what that's meant to be. Code do. It's really riveting, isn't it? Not sure. And 0, 0. And then a sum product. Of that against the game numbers. 4, 4, 3. And that actually was, from memory, the answer I put forward last night. So 4, 4, 3. We'll see if that comes through. What did I put down as well? 54. Okay, so those two didn't affect it. I think 54 is what I put down. Gonna go double check, because I'm not going to go do the counting I did last time, but we'll maybe come around to it at the end. I did put 54, so I got that one wrong. Okay, cool. Onwards we go. So what's really interesting is really getting through like level 6 and understanding a good way to go about that. Level 6. When a square is surrounded by 4 lines, it can be filled in by the colour of the player who drew the 4th line. In this level, we don't worry about which filler filled in the square with the colour, just keep track of how many squares are filled. We're continuing a game that started on the game board tab, and then we're going to determine the cell addresses of squares that will be surrounded by 4 lines at the end of the game. So all of these lines are going to be added to the lines that already exist, which we kind of just a little bit earlier went through the process of working out where all of these lines, existing lines are, and we need to add them to these lines and then basically answer the question of how many squares have been filled. And then if a square has been filled, take the row number of the addresses of the squares that have been filled. So I actually got through this real quick, which is so cool. I brought in the lines, brought in a text. Oh, I did it alongside from memory. Brought in a text split of this. I did a V stack of the two. This is very much how I like build stuff. Like I'm not doing it all in one cell. I'm kind of building out my logic and putting it on paper as it goes through my mind. These are where all of the squares are. So what do I need? I need to have a listing of all of the squares. All right, so how do we do that? And the way in which I did go about this, which I did a little bit actually, I had what I'm about to show you already set up from the video. So I did this. And then I did this. Okay, and I had preemptively decided or thought that this could be the way it was set up, which indeed it is. So these are the squares in between. Wicked. And you'll see that mimics the game board. So I had a look here, that's T20, and that is T20. Great. So if we go and get the addresses of this in a 2-col format, and then just a 2-col of the area themselves, and then do a filter of this based on this being 1, I have a list of the, what do I call them? Squares. So we go back to 6 and bring across our squares. And what I want to do is I want to see what the distance is from this particular cell to all of these cells. And I want to, if the distance is 1, because the line is adjacent, then I want to count how many times it's a 1, because if it's a 1 4 times, then it's a fully enclosed square. So that is what I did. So ON equals 1. Wrap that in a sum, and there are 3 within GUI of C3. And then I copied it down, but I was better at locking my cells on that occasion. Cool. And then I went, how many of 4? And I remember at the time I used most of and go, there are 3, right? There are 3? 3 of them are 4. Beautiful. That's so good. That's so good. Answer's 3. No, it's 31. What do we need to do? We need to sum the row numbers of the applicable. So basically, if that equals 4, then give me the row number of that. Otherwise, give me nothing. By doing that and then summing up the result, I'll get 31. And so that was me somewhat kind of cruising through level 6. Oh. So we put level 6 in. We're at like 20, nearly 20 minutes. This is about right in terms of me having about 10 minutes to go at this stage for level 7. I might have had like 8 minutes, something like that. And I went, Let's go for it. And so we did. And I understand some people were struggling with what level 7 looks like. I'm on the wrong, that's actually what I did. I'm on the wrong one though, aren't I? Let's go back to dots 1 and we'll start looking at level 7. So now the game will be played from scratch, no pre-existing lines. Players will take turn drawing lines on the grid. The red player will always start the game. When a square is surrounded by 4 lines, it can be filled in by the colour of the player who drew the 4th line. And so it goes. How many squares have been coloured by each player? Now, there is an important part here which says when a player completes a square, they get to draw another line during the same turn. I don't read instructions very well at all. I missed this at first. So that's okay. But we'll see how this played out and why I got so frustrated. So, text split of this guy. Then saw that there was a count of 180. I did a check of the length of everything and saw it was the same, and so therefore I had confidence from that it wasn't going to be a game board where there were differing levels of partially computed games, some of them only going 136 lines, some of them 154. That would have annoyed me if that was the case, having to deal with that, but didn't need to. So here are all my options. I then went, starting with red, I read red, that red always starts, then it goes blue, then it goes red, then it goes blue. We know that's not the case. If you successfully put a line in, you get to keep the turn, but I didn't do that. And then off to the side, I did a transpose of my squares. Cool, and then I used the same logic I did in level 6. I was going to go, I'll do it down here to make it kind of clearer what's going on, and then I'll move the formula up and down. The distance from there to everything that's gone already, lock that cell, lock that one, partially lock that, equals 4. Distance from there, I'm just having a moment. Those are my distances. Disregard equals 1. We want to have the number that are adjacent, and then we want that to then I did a sum. Yes, that's what happened. Cool. Sum. So at that point in time, there's none. And we copy that up, and you can see how it's going to kind of move down. By the time we get to the bottom, we should be at 4, right? 180 is all of them. Brilliant. And we can see that that's where it occurs. So drag this across. Should have 4s all along the bottom, and we do. And I went, let's do an X match of when the 4 turns up. Did I do that the wrong way around? Sure did. Cool, so game number 167 is when that turned up. And game number 167 is red. And at this point I was getting pretty excited. There was about 3 or 4 minutes to go, and I'm like, I think I'm going to crack level 7 here, and this feels like a hard one to crack level 7 on, but I'm really achieving something. So I started to get a bit nervous. Got the old shakes, didn't I? $41 red, 40 blue. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What have we got? What's the answer? 47.34. And I went, bother. What have I missed? When a player completes a square, they get to draw another line during the same turn. Okay, we've got about 3 minutes to go. How do we deal with this? I came up with a really quick and good idea. It's all going to fall apart soon, don't worry. Thought to myself, I've got this to work with. I can put a sequence alongside 180, and I can use one of my cooler, I love this lambda. Basically works out if just nice quick way of working out if a number or a value exists in a range of values. So these are when all of the options come to be, and these will be unique numbers. They kind of somewhat have to be, because you can't add a line in and it's not true. I guess you can add a line and it would, could potentially do 2 boxes at once. Be a weird strategic play, but I guess it's possible. But in any case, it doesn't. If that's the case, it doesn't change whether that's a unique setup or not. Because what I'm wanting to do is to work out if I need to switch player or not. So this becomes basically a game of, do I switch? So I'm going to start with red. My options are going to be red and blue. And if another good land of switch option, if this is 1, then based on my options of what I can switch between, then if it's a 1, I need you to go to the next one in the line. And if not, then keep it the same. And this was the last one that we used. And my new nameger is not working, because that needs to be minus. Cool, so red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Okay, I'll scroll down to an instance where it occurs. Where did that skip? Alright, cool. Blue, and then blue stays and keeps the turn. Red stays, keeps the turn. Scroll to the bottom, we're at 47:34. We've got a minute to go on the clock. I'm like, yes, I've got it. So we're gonna concat this guy into red, into blue. That's our answer. Put it there. 40 seconds to go. Scroll down here, and what really happened is we accidentally went to there and then activated my data table macro, and it went round in circles going, what's going on? And I watched that do that for 30 seconds. And then by the time it stopped itself, I had 10 seconds to go. I tried it again. And you can see down here in the corner, maybe, row 5, 6, 7. There is a lot going on here in terms of the formulas. I think it's like 20,000 formulas or something silly. It's computationally heavy, and it takes like about a second per answer to give me these answers that are about to populate. And so, I didn't get level 7. I instead got 824 points. I think that is what I got. So that must be how I got it. In the perfect world, I would have got 1,044 if I had not stuffed that little part up. Okay. So that's my approach to level 7, which I understand a bunch of people are kind of curious about how that's achieved. That's how I achieved it last night, but did not get these in time. Quickly look at the other bonuses and work out what I can or should have or could have done better. So, got bonus 4. I did not get bonus 3, did I? Bonus 1 is 140, as I think we just worked out. How many squares on the game board have only one adjacent line filled in? Now, actually, because we've gone through the process of working out these squares, we should be able to answer this really quickly. So I'm actually going to take my level 6 workings. I call it B2. Got my lines here. I'm going to get rid of these. Don't need this. I just need the lines. And then the same logic is already set up for me. I've got my squares, and I'm working out how many lines are within cooee of each of these squares. So if I use good old most of, I can see that one adjacent line seems to be 27. So I believe 27 will get us some moolah. On the game board, how many dots have at least one line attached to them? Okay. So what I might do, my initial thoughts on this, is to leverage what I have here, except I'm going to do a filter of this for, I think it was red lines, wasn't it? Okay. One red line, cool. And I need to have then a collage of where all the bloody dots sit. So Where do all the bloody dots sit? Don't have anything already set up to tell me that. Let's just do this. If I get an idea in my head, sometimes just go for it without thinking about whether it's a good idea or not, but this will work fine. I want to do a filter of all my addresses, and this time I want equals 2. So now I have my new squares. I can bring in from, I'll bring that across to B, I'm going to B3, have I? And I've only just created red lines now. So let's call this B3. I'm going to bring in my red lines. And I'm going to do the distance from here to here. Cool. Equals 1. Do the n of that, and I will do sum of that. Cool, and I want to do it like this just to show, but what's important is basically 1 is good, 2 is good, 3 is good. So my understanding is that we're looking at something like 59 dots being the answer, which is more than 54. So that's what happens when you do it manually, or you miss things. Okay, how are we for time on this guy? 4 minutes left. It's taken 41 minutes to pull that through. I'll see if I can get bonus 5. And I'll probably have to leave my level 3 edge cases behind. This is a good example where I like to use my data table macro, by the way, because I'm going to ask bonus 5 to do the same thing and not have to recalculate data tables and data tables. I will actually delete it though, because otherwise it's just going to take a lot of time. So here I just need to add third player, red, blue, green. So red, blue, green. The switch option all stays the same, except we're going to bring green to the party, and sometimes green's going to turn up. So green, I don't know if that's the answer, but that's kind of my first thought, is that all the logic kind of should just follow, and it does, so that's cool. That's clearing level 5. It gets us nearly all the way there. We've still just got those edge cases for level 5, and with a couple of minutes, I'm trying to think if I have the appetite to even look at this and fix it. How I would actually want to go about doing that. What would I do in reality? I would probably do something like this if I'm thinking about it. This is referencing the color map. Make a copy of the color map. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add in a row. I'm going to add in a column. It's going to change everything. And then I'm going to go back to number 5. I'm going to go make this address be an additional column, an additional number. What? Oh, it's so boring. Address change that 11 L3, cool. And then what the hell is dependent on that? I'd like to use my RxL software at this point to go like this, but I know I can't really use it in competition, so shouldn't be using it. Anyway, that goes to there. That goes to there. That goes to there. And we'll see quickly if that's then the answer. Nope, missed something along the way. because of that. That she wants to be an original address. Very good. All right, I feel better about that, somewhat. Well done, Kobe. Great case. Really enjoyed it. Gutted I didn't get level 7 out at the time, but well done to everyone that gave that a crack, because it was tricky. Kind of connected with me, which is why I'm annoyed I didn't capitalise, but fun case and fun to do again. So, yeah. Catch you next time. Take care.